Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Christine Dixon of The Ordinary Sacred. And today, this is the third video in my IFS Basics teaching. And today, I'm going to go over the entire IFS model, the different types of parts, kind of how it works, what Richard Schwartz developed and discovered with his work with his own clients as they taught him about the inner system and what's involved there. So I'm going to share my screen with you. All right, and I'm going to make myself bigger so you can see me. Whenever I do this, I always like try to look at myself in the little corner there, and then it looks like I'm looking this way. So okay, I'm going to try to look at the camera. So, okay, I love this image that was created by Mariel Pastor. Um, it really encapsulates the different parts and the self that is the IFS model. So I'll just go over it kind of briefly here. In the rest of this series, I'm going to go into great depths and detail about all of these different components. But you can kind of see here in the center is the self. And it's the core, right? The center of the person. When differentiated, it acts as an active, compassionate leader of the inner family with all of these different parts. And it has these 8C qualities of calmness, curiosity, compassion, connectedness, confidence, creativity, courage, and clarity. And every person on the planet has this core self. It is what connects us to the all cap self, the love of the whole universe, but we all have this at our core. And we've got two different kinds of protectors here that are often protecting our exiles. And the exiles are the ones, oops, I didn't mean to do that. So that doesn't distract you. The exiles hold painful emotions that have been isolated from the conscious self for protection of the system or for the part's safety. So, the protectors are basically protecting the system from the exiles or protecting the exiles from being rewounded. They become increasingly extreme in an effort to be cared for and to share their story. They carry burdens from being wounded, things like rage, dependency, shame, fear, terror, grief, loss, loneliness. And these are often the parts that will come up and kind of desperately grasp at other people to get them to help them, and who might feel really overwhelming to you as an individual. And then, so that's where the managers and the firefighters organize around the exiles. But they have kind of different jobs, or it's really about timing. The managers attempt to keep the person in control of every situation and relationship in order to protect them from feeling hurt or rejected. So managers are proactive. They are trying to prevent the exiles' pain from coming up. It's like the exiles are kept in the basement under this locked board door, right? And the managers are guarding the door, and they are trying to control you and everyone around you and your environment so that this door stays closed and nothing opens that door and lets all of that pain out. Okay, so they're hyper vigilant, they are controlling, and some examples are controller, striver, caretaker, passive pessimist, judge, planner, or self-criticism, a lot of inner critics, right? And there's all kinds of other examples of these, but they work really, really hard to keep the exiles in the basement. However, when there's an activation, something that activates our exiles in the present, and they come up in full force, and the pain is there, the system gets overwhelmed, the manager's job didn't work essentially. So now the firefighters come in to damage control. And the firefighters also protect the system, but they act after exiles are upset to either soothe them or distract from them. Any activity can be used to get away from exiles, but common ones include being driven or immersed in sleep, shopping, work, sex, diet, exercise, computer, video games, any kind of addiction, binge eating, suicidality, self-harm, violence, dissociation, distraction, obsession, compulsion, fantasy. So you can see that these are ways that the pain gets tried to numb or soothed or diverted and distracted from, or perhaps pushed out in anger, um, in violence. So they're working really hard. And just like a firefighter that doesn't care if they destroy your paintings and your furniture, they just want to save your life. They can be destructive, right? They can really have some consequence. All right, so let me go over here to these points. The self is always curious and compassionate and is an effective leader for all the other parts. It is innate in us. It is not learned. It's not something you have to develop. It is your birthright. It simply may have been covered over by other parts, like I was saying, kind of eclipsed. But the sun, even on a cloudy, overcast day, is still there. And so it might be hard to find or sense the self at times when other parts are really, really extreme and active. But I guarantee you it's there. You don't have to develop it. You just need to kind of be reminded of it, tap into moments when you did experience it, and just even access a tiny, tiny bit of it and to give attention to the other parts, and then they'll naturally relax and make more and more room for the self. And like I said before, every person has a multiplicity of subpersonalities. This is normal. It is not a pathology. An example is a part of me feels like it wants to run, and another part of me thinks I should stay. When I first read that, I thought like running, like exercising. It's like part of me wants to run and part of me wants to sleep in. But it's true. That's a very common polarization. Part of me really wants to exercise, or diet or something, and part of me wants to indulge and rest and eat. So there are two types of parts, the protectors, which are here, the managers and firefighters, and the exiles. So people get confused. There's three types of parts, but then there's the protectors, the two protectors, and the exiles. Two kinds of protectors, managers, and firefighters. We'll talk more about this in a coming video as well. And protectors are generally seeking to protect us from the overwhelming pain or emotion of our exiles. Yes, and like I said, they want to keep it down or push it back or soothe it once it comes up. And sometimes they're trying to protect, they don't care so much about the exiles, they're trying to protect the system from the exiles. They actually really dislike the exiles. And other times they really love the exiles and they're caretaking them and trying to help them and very loyal to them. You just have to go in and ask. And the last one says, often various protectors can be polarized and fight with one another. They have different strategies for protecting exiles. Right. So often you'll have, say, some addiction parts who are very polarized with a critical part over here that judges them as very bad and really wants to try to get them to go away. Or maybe like a self-restricting part and a binge eating part, right? They will be polarized. Or maybe like a striver or taskmaster type part and a procrastinator part will be polarized, right? And so a polarization is a burden system's way of trying to achieve balance. So it can either, one can be really dominant and suppressing the other for a long time, for years even, and then it goes back here, or they can toggle back and forth within days, or toggle back and like manic depression, or they can toggle back and forth within a day, or they can fight like this. and you just feel pulled between them and stuck and tense and stressed, right? So, when you have a burden system, those polarized parts, one or both, are going to be very extreme, and you're going to feel stressed and anxious and a lot, or maybe completely shut down and collapsed, right? That could also be a possibility. But so I really wanted to show you this complete model of IFS all in one, with that beautiful image from Mariel Pastor. All right, so there's a quick overview of the IFS model. In future videos, we'll get into the whole process and how to help these parts, how to identify them, how to help them. And so if you have any questions or comments about the model, please leave them in the comments below.